Bienvenidos, Fright fans. Jaime En Fuego here for the horror show, and we are so stoked to have Rob Cobasky here with us in his lair of killer creativity. How's it going, man?
It's going great. Thanks for having me.
Nice. We're very stoked to have you here.
Thank you.
Look at this stuff here, audiences. Holy goodness, I am so incredibly impressed. As I just mentioned, I feel like I'm in the lair of Stan Winston or something.
Thank you so much.
How long have you been doing this for? And indulge our audiences with some insight.
I have been doing it off and on for like 30 years. I have a sculpture in there that's 30 years old, made out of paper mache.
Nice.
I used to draw cereal box characters before school and everything, eat my cereal.
That's where the interest started.
Yeah, and I remember as a kid looking at how to draw monsters, and I was always into the Hunchback of Notre Dame models. And
interesting choice.
Yes, Hunchback of Notre Dame and Planets of the Apes back then, and Jaws, and those.
Well, both myself and my co-host Cecil, we were scared crapless by Jaws as children.
Yeah, so probably the scariest movie ever made.
Left an impression upon so many people, as this stuff has already. I mean, we've got Frank here. We have an evil vampire-ish looking guy of sorts.
Yeah, he's the caretaker, I guess. I like to set him next to Frank here and put the hand on his shoulder, and Frank's eyes and head move. Here's his head's hinged here, and we don't have the electronics on today, but his eyes can look left and right. And when I do my art shows, I like to have him up front, and that draws in the crowd. Yeah. And I can have him look at people, and sometimes they think
catches them off guard.
Yeah, they think it's a real person. Sometimes it's really funny, just to film the reactions of people.
Very lifelike. Yeah. Have you done film work before, or is this just kind of like displaying art, or what are the different projects and stuff that you've been involved with?
I've been involved with films, yes, art shows, haunted houses. Just private parties, stuff like that. I'm trying to actually get myself on stage with a rock band that is doing theatrical type stuff on their stage in a drummer.
Can you divulge the name to us?
I can't remember the name. Dang it! I just met the gentleman too over 4th of July weekend, and we were both bouncing energy and ideas off each other. We were just really glad to meet each other and everything. So I hope something kind of comes of that, because I'm really excited to be involved with rock and roll scene too. And
rock, metal, I mean, those are genres that just really like kind of a visual aspect. It's able to, elevate the art a lot of the time, make it that much more like punchy, more impact.
Sometimes, like when we're driving, we'll speed, and we got to watch our speed. So sometimes when I want to get in the mood to sculpt, I'll put some typo negative on.
I was just talking Peter Steele on my drive over here.
Yeah,
that's
really helps me. Takes me to another level, and sometimes the music and what my eyes see take me on a journey to where I'm not even in control anymore. The music and what my eyes are seeing take me on this journey, if that makes any sense.
It totally does.
And I just go.
It looks like
that.
Everyone you love is dead. So
yeah.
Just like Cecil would say, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, everything's got a little bit of dark, I guess, in it, because it's just kind of what really, I don't know what the word is.
That's what excites us the most here.
I'm fascinated by it. So, there's a lot of people out there that can totally relate.
I think we're kindred spirits already.
Yeah, right
we just met. That's what's awesome.
I'm feeling love.
So there's been a shift in the genre of horror recently, less practical, more digital. Obviously, since your work here is very meticulous and so painstaking in the process, what are your thoughts on that change?
I like it. It actually inspires me.
Really?
Yeah.
Not the response I was expecting.
What I can see is people toss their ideas around a computer, and they can change things real fast on a computer, versus doing it all by hand. I have to let that journey take me somewhere, and that's where I end up. And I remember, I want to turn left at that third block like next time, and then nail that one on the next sculpture. But with the computer and everything, you can get all that. Yeah. But, I think it's great because I watch what they're doing. I turn the pages and I get the idea of a finger on that one and an ear on that one and a chin on this one. So I think it's great, and it takes an artist to push those buttons.
True.
Because I was afraid, I'm a dinosaur, I'm going to be replaced by a computer, but it takes an art, I don't think that's going to happen.
So lurking here in this layer of awesome creativity, we've seen so many different things as far as like scale goes, style. Do you have a preference as far as the approach? I mean, do you like smaller figurine type pieces? Or I saw this enormous dragon type thing that was like bigger than me practically. Do you have a preference?
Great question. I like the big stuff. I love full scale, but it is just so expensive. So I have to scale down to the little maquettes. So I go all the way from the small 1/6 scale all the way up to full scale. I like the full scale, but it's just so expensive, the materials. But I didn't have the materials 30 years ago. I had paper mache. So I appreciate all the scientists out there that formulate all these things that make me make clear things that dry clear but don't stick, or translucent skin things that I can put my own pigments in, and it's amazing. Yeah, I didn't have that.
As someone who's good with words and not as much with the whole visual aspect, you have to just give mad respect in that.
Thank you. People ask me where I've gone to school and everything. I've never gone to school.
That was my next question. Yeah, where's the formal training?
That's the people ask me that all the time, and I've not gone to school. What I've done is I go on YouTube and I look and see what everybody else is doing, and I investigate, and I call art shops. It's a waxy brown type substance, and he puts it in a crock pot and puts fabric in it, and little things like that. And she takes me in the back and she goes, could it be this, that? And I'm like, no, this is it. So I come home and I try it, and that's what it is, and that's how I learn.
I think it's cool. It's a little bit more fulfilling when you figure it out on your own, as opposed to adding...
It is very fulfilling, and a lot of times too, when I'm doing things, the things that I spill things on, and then when I pick that up, and the two that are mixed together, and sometimes you can see through it, sometimes you can't, or sometimes it moves, sometimes it stretches, and these things I just file in there and I could use for later, and I use them later.
Spark creativity when you least expect it, right?
Yeah, I mean, right down to scraping the mess off the floor. I keep the crumbs, and I use the crumbs for fleshy, things, and I'll pull the things out of the cups and use everything.
No death left to waste, I guess.
No. Yeah, right from the teeth to the bones.
So is there anything in modern horror that has inspired you, or really just kind of as far as a particular film or a series that you think is really cutting edge as far as practical effects goes?
Well, I'm kind of old school still, and I have not played very many video games and stuff like that, but I do get a lot of ideas from that and everything. But you guys are going to laugh, but I'm still an old Terminator fan. I love Terminator. I love, machines and people. And you see a lot of that now being generated with, like you had asked earlier, with the computer things and everything. And these people are coming up with phenomenal ideas and just mind-blowing things that I never would have thought of in a million years, that I'm learning from these people on the computers.
So do you do any digital art then?
I know how to turn my phone on. I just got a smartphone 6 months ago.
The joys of the internet, though. I mean, without that connectivity, we wouldn't be able to soak up that knowledge that you were mentioning. That's helped you, right?
I've told millions of people the world's at your fingertips in the computer, and this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, because every skill that's behind us was learned off the internet.
So then, do you get an extensive amount of commission work, people seeking you out for specific projects, or is it more so stuff you make on your own and then shop around?
It's a lot of both, actually. When I'm at a show, because I do shows, people will see my stuff, and then I trigger their ideas.
Mind's blown when we walked in.
Just explosions underneath my tent at my art shows, and it's
brains everywhere. It gets messy, and then he's like, "I'm going to scoop that up and use it for my next piece."
Take pictures, use it. Yeah. What were we talking about? No,
my mind is just blown.
Parties. They'll see this stuff and ask me, "Do you do parties and this and that?" And then I say, as a matter of fact, I've got some makeup here to demonstrate. And at my art shows, I'll demonstrate a little gouge in the knee or something like that, and I'll turn around and I got a line of people waiting for their turn, and it just explodes, and it's just so much fun. That's why I like doing shows.
It's like a bloody snowball going downhill, right?
Yeah, it is. The comments, good and bad. You got to wear your thick skin and your flak jacket, but it's all fun. I love them.
Nice. So you had a piece that was auctioned off at this past Phoenix Comic Convention, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, I had a group of guys approach me that like to donate money to a no-kill animal shelter. So I was figuring, maybe a good way to help was to donate one of my eclectic sculptures and see what kind of a crowd we could get
Yeah.
and raffle this guy off. So yeah, I got to get into Comic-Con, Phoenix Comic-Con, and was very honored to be able to do that and help that organization out.
So then getting back to the shows where you actually display this work and things of that nature, do you stick strictly to Arizona? Do you do them frequently? Do you go out of state, travel, anything like that?
I usually just stick to Arizona, and so far I could keep up with about 2 shows, and then movie here, gig there, and this and that. Because every time I do a show, I get wiped out,
Yeah.
and then I got to make it all again. But I love it.
This stuff obviously takes time, right?
It takes time, and not to skip around on subjects, but when I sell my stuff, I look so forward to taking that money and getting more material and creating all those new explosion ideas that I got from other people and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a disease.
So then the turnover time for a lot of this content, I would imagine with, just how carefully it's crafted, it takes quite the bit of time. How about something small, like one of the figurines of sorts versus one of the larger guys like Frank here?
Yeah, the time difference, it all depends. The bigger ones, of course, take a lot longer because the molds are so big and you got to make molds and this and that. But these little maquettes, like this one that's right behind you right here, for example, this little guy right here, it takes me probably from start to finish 3 days, to paint and everything. And I'm getting ready to get a big old block of clay in gray, and it's a harder clay, it's a different kind of clay, and I'm going to sculpt in just black and white, like people will do pencil and black and white with no color. You can sculpt like that too, because sometimes to me, as an artist looking at it, the colors will take away from all of the shadows. And when you just sculpt in black and white, now you're just looking at the shadows, and then you can really see all the work that the detail, even more, I think personally, than when it's colored sometimes. But something like this will take me about 3 days.
That's actually less than I was expecting.
Oh, is it really?
Power to the creativity, man. So as far as this stuff goes, there is always the occasion where it might start to feel like work, as opposed to just a true passion and something where those creative fires burn. Does that happen often? Do you fall to that trap?
Yeah, that trap is the stopping of the creativity in making the molds. To me, that is just like the work of it, is making the molds and everything. But once you pull that first casting out of your molds, you forget about all that boring mold making stuff.
You kind of reinvigorated then?
Yeah, you get really reinvigorated.
We're over to the next stage.
Exactly, yeah. But back to these little maquettes, that's why I like doing those and then baking them hard to a hard finish, because I can spit them out and not worry about taking 3 weeks to make the mold, which takes me away from sculpting. The mold making, man. If I could hire somebody, he's going to make molds for me, and I'll tell that person, thank you, and call me when this is done out of the mold.
I would honestly imagine with just the awesomeness of the things that we're gazing at here, that's probably within the cards in the near future, right?
That would be so great.
Do you have anyone who assists you, or is this just all you?
It's all me. Everything's done by me. I take that back. Sorry. My wife, she is... I couldn't really... without her, I wouldn't be half as far as I am.
She's the creative rib then, so to speak.
She just picks up all the pieces and lets me create. I mean, right down to the...
It's like random body part here and
I know there's a dog mess out in the backyard that needs to be picked up, and if I'm doing it on a sculpture, she'll go out and pick it up herself, just so she don't, because she knows I'm in my bubble. And when an artist is in their bubble, man, you
have to respect the space.
Yeah, you respect the space. And then just setting up and shutting down and bouncing ideas off my wife, and hey, is this done? And without her. Yeah.
It's often good to have that constructive criticism, though, right? If need be, you can say it's awesome, or you can say, well, it's not up to par.
Yeah, and a funny thing, though, with my wife being here, and I ask her things about her opinion about subjects I do and everything, I don't get the response that I want because she's getting so used to it, diluted, so it's nice to have eyeballs like
Fresh,
you guys
fresh
in here, you know, I'm like feeding off all this excitement.
The
from
energy,
you guys.
man. Yeah.
I forgot that I was a little good.
It is contagious enthusiasm. So with the rise of a show like Face Off, for instance, on Sci-Fi, where there's a competitive aspect, but also maybe a little minimalization of that creativity because of it, do you think it's good to call that attention, or is it maybe tainting it a little bit, or what's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on it just when nobody's talking about it, you're dead. And so as far as I'm concerned, it created an explosion of interest in things like this, because every time I do a show, which is 2 times a year, people will come up and they always compare me to Face Off, or do you work for Hollywood? And it's usually Face Off or Hollywood. No. So it brings interest, and it actually because they've seen this and everything. Oh yeah, you're one of those guys, and I've seen you on so it's good. People that follow me on social media and everything will sometimes ask me what I use and everything, because they're going to go get it and try it for themselves.
So there isn't worry then that it's going to take away some of your steam or something like that,
I don't think
jack
so.
some of your thunder.
No, I think it's, like in the music world, you can't just have Led Zeppelin and Led Zeppelin and Led Zeppelin and Led Zeppelin.
You need some Black Sabbath.
Pantera, Sabbath, Ozzy.
Yeah. and I mean, the best ones will always stand apart anyway. Right?
Yeah.
So lastly, we always like to wrap these things up with some sort of horror-centric question. And since I'm such a big fan of practical effects, I gotta ask you, what do you think's the best practical effects you've seen put to screen?
Ooh, wow.
Putting you on the spot.
Oh man, I'm an old school guy, man. I'm gonna go with the very first Star Wars. How it affected me. You watch it now and it's totally old school and everything. I guess I'm going off the feeling. Dust to Dawn. It's got some pretty good cheese.
That is one of my favorite horror films of all time.
Yeah, they got some really good, tasty cheese.
Delicious.
For lack of better description.
Yeah, some queso, since they were in Mexico. Jaime En Fuego is all about that here.
Yeah,
We're going to wrap things up then by trying to steer our audiences to somewhere where they can contact you to either order some commission work or just gaze at the awesomeness of this arc, whether social media or a .com or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I have a website that my wife, again, she does all that maintaining of that and stuff. So it is artstudio918.com. And you can go ahead and ask me why I picked that.
I was really curious about the pertinence to the number.
Yeah, okay. So I used to compete in competitions and rock crawling competitions and stuff like that. And my number was 918, and a cop came up and said, "Whose car is that?" Thinking I was in trouble.
Yeah. And 918 to let you all know, it's for crazy people.
Yeah,
so my mom was a police officer.
Oh, okay, all right, there we go. So he was a cop and said, "Oh, that means psycho," and I'm like, "Beautiful."
Yeah, mind blown. You figured it out. So I got to extend a grande gracias to Rob for speaking to us today for the horror show.
Thank you.
We're actually very stoked because he is assisting us with an upcoming short that we're about to start producing. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for more horrific fun coming at you. And until next time, stay scared.